A very good morning, folks, and welcome to FYI, another program, another day. It is the 24th day. Let me just check and make sure. Yeah, 24th day of July. We are happy to have each and every one of you here with us. As we promised, we've been in a new location. Today, we are on the road for the next few days, folks, and then we're back at our studios, and then we're on the road again. It's going to be that kind of summer. So happy to see each and every one of you there, folks. So happy to see each and every one of you there. I know some of you got a lot of questions. Is me there? Is me because you're all fast. A very good morning to each and every one of you. And you're looking bright and rosy this morning, guys. It's another week. We hope that you hit the ground running. What are you guys having for breakfast at your end? Had some tea, had some black coffee, strong, not? Yep. Fuel for the day, folks. Fuel to start the morning, and I have to head off. Where I am, you're going to know in a second. You're going to know. Head off to a very important meeting just as I wrap up the program. So we're going to go for about 45 minutes, folks. We'll see if we get up to that hour mark, but at least 45 minutes program time. So good to see each and every one of you joining us from all of the various places you all are coming from, folks. So happy to have you all here. How are you all doing, man? All the usual suspects. I see y'all. All the usual suspects. Some of you haven't washed your face yet, everyone. I've seen you all, folks. I've seen you all. Good to have all of you here. Where are you joining us from? Those of you who are joining us, well, I'm tempted to say there, you know, it's in you by now. You say from the national capital city. Those of you joining us from back home in the national capital city, Georgetown, folks, and of course Guyana at large. Those of you who are joining us from that end, those of you who are in the diaspora, like us, as we sing that. Those of you who are joining us in the diaspora, like us, good to have each and every one of you here with us, guys. It's a privilege. It's nothing short of a privilege to have you folks here. Yep, so glad to have you folks here. Yep, so glad to have each and every one of you joining us this morning. Of course, couldn't ask for a better audience at all. Couldn't ask for a better audience. Great to have each and every one of you joining us at this end, folks. Great to see you, all the usual suspects. How has the weekend been, folks? And you'll understand in a second why we missed our Friday evening program. You're going to understand in a minute. But we are where we are. Good to have each and every one of you on the live here this morning, folks. And where I am, the folks are taking good care of me. Yo, don't worry. Don't worry. And you're going to see in a second just where I am. And I'll give you a sense of what I'm doing here when you guys get a chance to know. It's right there. But good to see you, folks. Good to see you, folks. We outside. We did say we're going to be a little bit on the outside during the course of summer. And that begins today, good folks. But we're going to be in this very space for the evening program as well. All things being equal, we aren't going to have the podcast this week. We aren't going to have the podcast again. This is our third week we aren't on because we've had so many busy days. It's the protest there in Georgetown against Darmlal. You've had other protests that we've been a part of as well. We've been to Essequibo. We've been to Linden in that time as well. And we've been covering a number of things and a number of fronts. But we are going to have the morning program and we are going to have our evening broadcast as well. So glad to see each and every one of you folks. And without further ado, I want to let you know, guys, where I am and why we didn't have the program on Friday in particular. Gotta let you special folks know where we are. Good to see, as I said, each and every one of you folks. Share the live. You all know how we do it. Smash that emoji button for us, guys. And come, let's go down the road. We got a couple of things to cover this morning. But first up. Questions got to be answered. I can ask you all questions, but I see you all for a little bit, folks. And here is where we are. And here is how we got here. Take a look, folks, and take a listen. I was going to do the evening show on Friday, but I decided to leave for the airport early because y'all know with me luck, I missed the flight again. Last year, I missed the flight twice, going and coming, not with this time, so I left early. The taxi driver, he was the best, I can't lie. I see he was quietly efficient. He didn't speak until he was spoken to. Hear it? The man didn't say a word unless he asked you a question. And after a day, I didn't mind at all the quietude. We going good. Next thing is Bay traffic by Diamond. Bay traffic. Come on, Bishop. This man in the lot of spirits these days. Make it right here. Make it right, folks. So come on. Who got responsibility for this traffic? Make it right. Got to the airport on time nonetheless. I was too tired for a line. Them boys like talking at the VIP. It's a good thing I didn't knock down the little coffee in there though and bought a little food in the airport cause I sleep away and miss dinner on board. But the flight to New York, it seemed quick. You see? The captain like he foot heavy and the landing was like butter. The man eating, you know eating. I was tempted many times to say, waiter, to signal the cabin attendant. But y'all know y'all buying got the luck. I ain't got no luck. Be through JFK and on that JetBlue flight bound for the Turks and Caicos Providenciales of Islands. JetBlue food had a price though. So I watched them sideways long.
Weather Pueblo looks nice. White winds, good visibility, just some scattered clouds. Temperature right now 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Was everything we were fun with this here JetBlue? If there's anything else we can do for you today, please let us know. Thank you.
3 hours later, we on the ground. What happens? And if you see me, show you, I'll buy. I can make a mess of the hot water. And the pool? Huh? Be outside today. So welcome back, folks. So I'm in the Turks and Caicos Islands. They call them the Providenciales of Islands of the Turks and Caicos. And so I'm privileged to be here, folks. Welcome back. It's sure you all fast, but you all know the whole thing now. You all know the whole thing. And part of what I'm doing here, folks, is attending the 45th, let me get it right. It is the 45th annual conference of the Caribbean, Americas, and Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. There's a conference regarding that, folks. The 45th annual conference of the Caribbean, Americas, and Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. They're having a conference, and that is part of why I am here in the Turks and Caicos. Good to be outside, folks. Good to be outside. Inside for a little bit now for the program, but heading out in just a little bit. Hence, I said the program is going to be about 45 minutes this morning or so. We want to make sure that we get sufficient information for you good folks. We want to ensure that we have sufficient information for you folks. So why don't we have a go at it, folks? Why don't we have a go at it? Good to have all of you here. Share the live. Y'all get to mind back the business. You can get to go back once the program is finished and watch that whole insert we played there, show you guys exactly where we are. Because we know you all fast like that. But good to have all of you folks on the live. We're even going to have a guest this morning join us. Believe it or not. We're even going to have a guest join us. Or two maybe. Who knows? Who knows, folks? Who knows? But folks, here we are. Good to have each and every one of you. and we want to give you guys a sense of some of what we're following this morning. So let's head right into it, folks. On the international scene, some of what we're following this morning. Yeah, it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit good, folks. But we want to show you some of what we're following at this end internationally, guys. You know, a lot has happened over the last 36, 72 hours. You can't close your eyes in this place, you know, because as soon as you close your eyes, you miss something. You're going to miss something very, very, very important internationally, folks. India got it bad. India got it bad. Just recently, they had a train derailment in India. A lot of lives lost. A lot of lives lost. And then we're learning overnight, folks, learning overnight that they found in a landslide there, as a result of a landslide, 27 dead bodies. My God, something always happening all over the world. 27, they tell us. 27 dead bodies in India pulled from that landslide there. And our thoughts and our prayers go out to the wonderful people of India. Folks, those of you are people of faith, pray for them. Say a prayer for them. Please and thank you. 27 they pulled. Yeah. Believe it or not, 27 persons they pulled. Yep. Thoughts and prayers go to the Indian people this morning. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. And that's just part of what we're following, guys. You know, every day you wake up, you got life, you got liberty, you got the chance to pursue happiness. Oh my God, we got to be so thankful. And we hope you guys got up this morning, you know, with good health and strength. And even if, you know, you woke up, you got a lot to be thankful for, because a lot of people didn't make it. A lot of people did not make what we did. And so, of course, we got so much, guys, so much we can be thankful for. So much we can be thankful for. You know, so that's happening on that front, folks. And we got some other things happening. We're covering regionally as well. It's a couple of the things we are tackling at the regional level, folks. So much to cover. So regional, folks, here's what's happening closer to where we are in the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, folks. They got an uptick in crime. Is not only there, so don't let me think we self with them. Don't let me think we self with them. St. Vincent and the Grenadines got this stuff happening, and we gotta keep on keeping on out there, folks. We gotta keep on keeping on. Lots been happening. Lots has been happening. You know, crime is concerned. We say crime planned by we and us yet. These guys here trying on their front. These guys trying on their front. We've seen nothing by we side yet. So they're telling us, guys, there's been an uptick in crime in the Grenadines, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 5 died recently as part of a mass shooting in the Caribbean island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 5, folks, 5. We gotta watch that. Like, we're importing that from the north, guys. We gotta watch that, right? That is of interest. And, you know, we got our own situations by our side. In pointing no fingers there. In pointing no fingers there at all. 5. What they call a mass shooting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the authorities are said to be on high alert in St. Vincent and the Grenadines following this shooting incident that left 5 dead. They said around 8 p.m. local time. Recently, this report of the mass shooting in Kingston, the capital of the Caribbean nation, according to a statement of the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force, put out a statement that in its capital, you had this shooting, you know, and it seems as though this thing is coming closer and closer to home. And there was recently this huge conference in Trinidad and Tobago concerning crime. Not a lot to say. Didn't see this coming. Folks. And of course, our thoughts are with the families and friends of those who've been lost. You know, it's one little Caribbean place. Big and beautiful, but one little Caribbean place. All of us, brothers and sisters of America, our thoughts and prayers go out to the folks there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a place I got on my bucket list. That was where Ralph come from. Have to go and see where Ralph come from. So this is one of the things we're following. One of the things we're following this morning on FYI, coming to you live, guys, from the provinciales of islands of Turks and Caicos. Well, good to be with you, folks. Good to be with you. Thanks to the advent of technology, we can come into your living rooms on your smartphones. Some of you might be on a bus somewhere in the world heading to work, heading home, folks. We're so happy to be here with you like this. And again, folks, our thoughts and prayers go out to those who would have lost their lives in this mass shooting, as the Royal Police Force there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have characterized it. That's one of the things we follow. The 592, where you guys are this morning. Y'all easy, Never an easy day with y'all. Never an easy day, folks, in the 592. Lots happening. You can't close your eye for a second. You can miss something interesting. There's always something happening, folks, in the 592. That's why I warn you. Always something interesting happening in the 592. Yeah. Always something interesting. First up, good folks. Look what we're following this morning. How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing? Share the live, good folks. Smash that emoji button for us and come, let me go down the road. Share the live, smash that emoji button for us and come, let's go. Down the road we go, folks. Down the road we go. First up in the 592. Oh my Lord. Uptick in crime. I tell y'all, we can't blame the folks from St. Vincent and the Grenadines alone. We all basket of issues to fetch. We got our own basket of issues to fetch, folks. So we can't point a finger at people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines by any means. They're telling us that Chinese businessman in Diamond was robbed $6 million. $6 million. I just left, man. Like the whole things at bay. I just left. $6 million. $6 million. Robeson there. Robeson, like Frank Anthony, they go missing for these huge periods of time. You see, when you check on board all these sickly people, they don't have to deal with. Sick in mind, sick in body. We can pray for them. Or maybe we need some energetic people. We need some energetic people in there who understand what they're doing and they're able to bring down this high crime rate, for instance. Right? 5 dead. Sorry, I missed my cue there. Chinese businessman lost. He's counting his losses this morning. $6 million. Yep, them boys went in on him. Diamond, $6 million. Wow. No one is safe, folks. That's why I warn you all. Nobody is safe and nowhere is safe. And I have found my own experiences, guys. Unless the Lord watch the city, the watchman, you watch in vain. That is our devotional moment this morning. That's the devotional moment this morning. What's happening in New Amsterdam, folks? What's happening in New Amsterdam? We're being made to understand that they can't find the mayoral chain. They can't find this 100-year-old ceremonial gold chain of the mayor of New Amsterdam. Like them boys went in on them too. I keep telling you, it's crime from Bouterstern, from the Pacaramas Peaks of Power to the quarantine lush lands. Yeah. Them boys all over. We ropes in them, man. We Hickins. I can't blame Robeson alone. We Hickins there. We gotta stop shadowing Earphone all over. Earphone alone got 1,000 police and the escort. Who fighting crime? Who watching over us? Y'all don't bother with me. I rely on a higher power. A higher power. They go with the mayoral chain, 100-year-old chain. As soon as them boy come in, it gone. It cannot be found. I hope they launch a very comprehensive investigation to find what's happening here. They got the man chain. Shucks, boy. This country, we live in, never dull moment. They got the man chair, the man chain. And if he slip up, the chair gone too. If he only slip up, the chair will go as well. Never dull moment. Folks, The 592, never dull moment. While that's happening, folks, just talk about the commissioner. While that is happening, a report out of the Ombudsman office, out of the Ombudsman office says that sexual harassment in the Guyana police force was among 120 complaints processed by the Ombudsman office between 2021 and 2022. Sexual harassment. Right? And we should know, because there was an infamous investigation into a fellow called Karamash from the Guyana police force. He was investigated under similar circumstances by the Police Service Commission. So that this thing is prevalent over the side. That's because we don't respect women and girls. And that's why we see this high rate of sexual violence. We see it's one of the pandemics that we're dealing with. And we got to deal with it. We got to confront frontally. Or else we ain't going no place. We can't bury our head in the sand like the ostrich. And that seeps into various places that it shouldn't. That's why we're seeing this nonsense here with Darmlal, who I'm going to be talking about quite shortly with my guest, who's going to be joining us this morning. So we got this happening on this front, folks. We got this happening on this front, and then we got some other things happening as well. It's so good to see all of you guys. Share the live, as we said. Smash that emoji button, folks. Let's go down the road. Wrong and down we go, folks. Wrong and down. Circling back to this. Circling back, folks. But look, story here now. I ain't tell you about them. Well, the family's suing them now. You remember the Bosai fella? Remember the fella from Bosai who lost his life? Well, the family suing them now. Right? Family suing them now. They initially said that this man, that the company was not responsible. Let me put it properly. They said initially that the company was not responsible. Right? Now, all of a sudden, things change. Because when Starbucks News got a hold of the report, what it said to us was a number of persons the investigation held accountable. So how come did the minister and others run out, right, and say that he was not? Right? How did they come in and say he was not? Here it says here, and this is in regards to Neptune Hercules, that excavator worker, based on the fact of a commission of inquiry has found culpability not only on the part of the company, but also the Ministry of Labor and the respective oversight agencies in the on-the-job death of Bosai Mineral Group Guyana Inc. employee Neptune Hercules. The family is taking the company to court. Carry them to court. You will carry them to court. They lied. Hamilton lied. He said that there was no culpability. You see why you can't trust the PPP, ladies and gentlemen? You understand why we can't trust them. You just can't. He said there was no culpability found. And then when Starbucks News got a hold of this report, the report was leaked to Starbucks News. I like Starbucks News for that. Always, on the ball of journalism. We don't always agree. We don't have to agree in a democratic society, but always on the ball of things. Said there was no culpability, Joe Hamilton. And then when Starbucks News got the report, both sides culpable, Ministry of Labor culpable. Why would you lie to people like that? Why would you do that? Family got carried out of the court now. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Huh? Put it in your pipe and smoke it. And of course, the issue that refuses to go away, the one that refuses to go away, this is the Darmlal matter that we've been grappling with for the last month or so. As you folks will appreciate, this young lady came forward. Damning allegations and these missives that spread across social media, lightning speed, rape and sodomy. Very credible. Took into state care. Suddenly, we heard she don't want to pursue the matter anymore. Couldn't get access to an attorney. Number of things happening. Number of things said to have happened there. Sabbath News editorial this morning is dedicated to this whole issue. Notes on Darmlal, on the Darmlal case. That's the heading Sabbath News editorial. Notes on the Darmlal case. And then over the weekend, the Ghana Human Rights Association said that, this whole saga, exposed by the Damlal matter, the fragility of women's rights locally. Ain't it fragile, folks? Women's rights. We saw what R.C. Rogers did in that supermarket in Bath, assaulting that young woman. That never came of that. We've had other incidences in the National Assembly, of itself, and nationally. Nothing ever became of. I guess that is why the Ghana Human Rights Association talks about this issue exposing the fragility of women's rights. Do you agree? Do you agree? Do you agree? Well, folks, quite recently, in the National Assembly, MP Tabitha Sarabo Haley raised this very issue. And she's going to be my guest on the other side of this. Raise this issue. The speaker won't talk about it. The speaker don't want the National Assembly to talk about it. They don't. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Here is what our colleague Tabitha Sarabo Haley, Member of Parliament, said in the National Assembly recently on this issue. And then I'm going to talk to her on the other side of it. Share the live, smash the emoji button, folks. Partner with us as well. Here is Tabitha Sarabo Haley.
Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. Mrs. Speaker, as I stand this evening to speak to this bill, I'd like to start off by stating that as a National Assembly, I believe we must, without fail, always be viewed as legislators ready, willing to stand with victims of rape, that we must always be seen as standing in support of our women and girls, mothers, daughters, and children. And it should never and must never be said of us that we who make laws find ourselves busy finding ways to circumvent them, to protect someone who has been accused of any form of violence, especially rape. The allegations made against a former Member of Parliament and all the work seemingly done to prevent him from facing the courts has irrefutably stained our nation and has affected.
Honorable Member, the person you're referring to is not here to defend
I call the
themselves.
name, sir.
And
I did not call any.
I ask you now to proceed with your contribution to the bill.
Has irrefutably stained our nation and has
Honorable Member, Honorable Member, I ask you to stick to the bill before you.
I hope that
I again ask you to speak to the bill.
But you have to allow me to
before
say
us.
that. You're not allowing me to do so, sir.
Please, Honorable Member.
Woo. It is my hope, sir, that as we go through this particular bill and other bills, that we never see in public office the likes of the person that is no longer here.
We have with us, folks, a very good morning. We have with us, folks, the wonderful Tabitha Sarabo Haley, Member of Parliament. And we are talking, of course, about this Darmlal issue that refuses to go away. We know the People's Progressive Party Civic would love for us not to be talking about this, but it has dominated the headlines for the last month or so. Even this morning, Starbuck News has dedicated its article to this issue. So it's not just only us at this end talking about this. It is as relevant as it ever was. Tabitha, a very good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you, Sherrod. Good morning to your listeners. Hope you guys will have a good day today. It's good to be here.
Excellent. Tabitha, as we were showing our viewers a little earlier, some of what took place in Parliament very recently, you tried to raise this issue in the National Assembly. I mean, this is the highest lawmaking forum in this country. Nigel Damlal, former Minister of Local Government, was a member of that august house quite recently, resigned over this very matter, but yet the Speaker doesn't want us to raise it in the National Assembly. Talk to us about that.
Yes, Sherrod. You see, when I got into National Assembly on Thursday, I felt that something must be said at that forum about what was taking place in the country, because of the fact that the individual that these allegations were made against was a minister and a former member of the Parliament, and so it shouldn't be something that we pretended was not happening or was not eating up a lot of time in the media and in the minds of our people. And so I thought that what I could do was speak to the matter without necessarily mentioning the name of the individual, but have it on the handset that this is what the country is dealing with at this particular time in our history.
Excellent. And what transpired from there must have surprised you because, well, surprised you in a sense, because where else do we talk about this? This is for all intents and purposes, a parliamentary colleague across the aisle, you know, no fault of ours, have been snagged in this issue, and the Speaker, perhaps being true to form, doesn't want us to discuss it.
Yes, and you see, I thought it through, and I said what I know would be an issue is if I mention the individual's name at that forum, because I know they would say that he's not in the house to defend himself, and so you cannot mention his name. I also know that there's been a running debate in the house as to when you stand up to speak on a bill, whether you stick to the bill at hand or whether you can veer off. But the Speaker has shown that in certain instances, he allows persons to come off with the actual the issue of the bill to speak on all sorts of matters. And you would know better than most that most times when the government side decides to veer off and go into the 1970s and 60s and 50s and all of that, he allows them to go that, he allows them that leeway. And then at some point, usually the last 5 minutes, they actually get to the content of the bill. And so it's with those precedents that were there that I said that, you know what, I will start off my presentation dealing with that matter. But for some reason, well, we all know, the Speaker, I think he was caught off guard because no one mentioned it before. And so I didn't think he thought through what would be the best way to respond to such a situation. And so he was just fumbling around to try to get me to stop speaking on the matter. It wasn't a case that I was being harsher, but I was just speaking to the issue at hand without naming the individual. And I basically was saying to the House that this matter, that as members of Parliament, as lawmakers, we should always be seen in the public to be standing with victims of rape, to be seen as defending those who find themselves in this particular situation. And we should not be seen as lawmakers finding a way to break the law to prevent somebody from facing justice. And so that is basically the tenet of what it is I was trying to say. But for some reason, he had an issue with that, and he was trying his best to stop me, I guess, from getting that information on the answer.
You know, when you think, Tabitha, this National Assembly can't sing any further, you have instances like this that proves, you know, you still got some capacity at the bottom there to get to. You know, does it inspire any confidence in you in a way that things can get better? I mean, like, from one issue to the next in the National Assembly.
Yes, and no, it doesn't, but you can't stop. You have to keep pushing, you have to keep pressing forward. And the issue with the Speaker is one that you expect, But sometimes, every time you think he can't get low, he shows
It
that it
just
is
go on. Yeah,
possible,
yeah.
to basically put away all reason and rational thinking, and recognizing the severity of the issue we're dealing with, and at least to seem to have a modicum of moral morality where these things are concerned, and he just puts all of that aside and decided it has to be straight politics, because I guess he's defending whatever he needs to defend and protecting whatever he needs to protect. And so that comes before the issues that the people face, the urgency of matters, the importance of matters in the house. And so we have to keep pushing forward, even though we know that is the line he is likely to take.
It's very, very, very sad. So if we're not talking about this, what are we talking about? You know, are we waiting for them to raise the issue in the House? I mean, they came into the last sitting of the National Assembly almost penitent. You know, it has been a very taxing issue on them. But a refusal from the head of state, from the president right down, to deal with this matter very substantively. Irfan Ali doesn't like to be asked questions about this at all. You want him to get vexed, go from 0 to 60 very fast, ask him about the Darnell issue, about his issue. It raises a lot of concern. You know, as I said earlier, Sabbath News this morning talks about this very issue and says really and truly that, you know, if we were to take this young lady who appeared on social media in a video statement quite recently, saying that, you know, the whole issue never happened, then, you know, why did she have to go back to the scene of the crime? Why did she stay in protective custody with the Child Protection Agency for a number of days? Why did the president allow Damrell to resign? You know, if that is to be believed in and of itself, why all of this smoke and mirrors, and, you know, the repercussions it's going to have on the former minister's career, the untold damage? Why all of that? If they know this is not true, if they know that nothing happened, why all of this dramatics?
And share those questions that Starbrook News asks, I think, are very pertinent questions, and questions that the entire Guyanese society is asking, because the reality is that if it's a case that there was no case from the beginning and it was all just made up, it would have been recognized very early, and that case would have been closed without even any form of investigation. But I believe the PPP, I think they're not recognizing that people have access to so much more than just what they say. And so the information is out there, and they can make and form their own opinions based on the information that is out there. And
Yep.
so they're not just waiting on government or a minister or the president to pronounce on an issue to say, okay, well, that is the way we should think about it. I think they have not recognized that we've gone past that era. I think also what is sad is that the way in which they have approached this issue sets us back so far in terms of dealing with women's issues and women's rights and dealing with victims of rape, that I don't think they recognize or they care about. It's one of the two. Because how can you, on such a matter as the president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, decide that you're going to try and publicly pretend as if the young lady doesn't exist and only care about the rights and the feelings of the perpetrator, the feelings of the accused. And that alone would seep through the entire society and give the impression that victims have no place, have no rights, and they would not want to come forward because of how they see the state treat a matter of this urgency. So it's really sad where we are in Guyana. But I would also like to urge the listeners not to find, yes, the young lady put out a video. And yes, it's obvious that there's some issues with the video, but we should not jump on trying to pull her down. We need to understand what may be going on in her head, and especially with what is happening right now. And let's say, for example, as somebody working in the public service, how many times have we seen something wrong and decided that we don't want to speak about it because you fear victimization or discrimination. How many times have we recognized that something went wrong or somebody did something wrong in the public service? I'm talking about somebody very high up in the public service doing something wrong, or you're told to do something that you shouldn't do, but you don't want to report it because you fear victimization, discrimination, because you know what is likely to happen. You may lose your job for just trying to tell people that that what they're doing is not right. So if you're in your small capacity, right, you're in your office and you feel the fear at that level, imagine a 16-year-old having to deal with the entire state on her head because she made an allegation and was strong enough to come forward in the first place, putting aside all that may have happened to her, right? Deciding to do this, and then after weeks of trying to help to get people to understand that this did happen, after weeks of interrogation, after weeks of, I would say, abuse by the state, making a decision at this particular point to do this thing, we have to understand that she had pushed as far as she could have, that she stood up for as long as she could have, and that it is our job now to continue that fight for her and for all others who were for whatever reason unable to speak up when these things have happened to them.
Fantastic. Couldn't put it any better. And Tabitha, I don't want you to believe that you're special in no way, because, this happened to you in the National Assembly with the Speaker, him not wanting to proceed on this matter in this very public and the highest legislative forum in our country, because Rosedale Ford, our parliamentary colleague, was trying to raise the issue of Madia. I mean, asking for a minute's silence. Why, the government finds itself in these strange, awkward positions. They go out there and they say they care about people, they care about the indigenous, they care. And then when put to the test, they are always found wanting. And the National Assembly finds itself in all of these contortions, not wanting to deal with these matters very publicly. A minute's silence is not forever, right? Mm-hmm. You're raising this issue in the National Assembly. Would have given them the opportunity to say, all the things that needed to be said by a government on such an issue. But again, they're found wanting. Wow.
Yeah, it's on. I know I want to speak too much on the issue with Rosedale, but this was a place where it was no one was blaming anyone at this point. It was just a case of senior counsel saying, let's just all stand and observe a minute of silence in remembrance of the lives lost. That is all it was. And you heard from the speaker was basically adamant that cannot happen. On the opposition side, we all stood up, but on the government side, I think because they were not ready and prepared for it, and of course they cannot be seen to want to do anything that the opposition starts, and because of they also are not allowed to think for themselves. So when you have a combination of those three things, one, they were not instructed, two, they're not allowed to think for themselves, and three, they don't want to be seen as doing anything that the opposition says to do, they end up sitting through something that should be unanimous in the House. Why can't everyone stand and observe a minute of silence for the lives lost? I think that is as basic as it can get. But as you see, that is where we are in the House, and the Speaker's atrocious behavior on that issue it's sickening as far as I'm concerned. It's very sick. But that's what we have to deal with. But we will continue to do what we need to do in the House of Assembly to represent the interests of the people.
Yeah. And as we circle back to this Darnell issue, finally, this Tabuk News in this editorial this morning says the header for the editorial is notes on the Darnell case. They end the editorial by saying there is more than a whiff of infamy here, and for all the avowals of upright behavior and the requirements of adherence to the code of conduct attached to the Integrity Commission Act, it is clear that the government must take concerted steps that none of its officials end up in the lurch that Mr. Darnell found himself in. You think we're going to see that?
Not under the present circumstances we find ourselves. I do not see. There are many different ways in which the Darnell can be held accountable. Yes, there is, of course, the case that should have gone to court. That didn't happen. Integrity Commission, something can be filed with the Integrity Commission as it relates to the Code of Conduct. And also, we should also be calling at this point for the Rights of the Child Commission to also be established, that they can also deal with this matter, because it has to be seen as important on all fronts for all Guyanese. And, in the interest of our children, we should not allow it to slide. We should not allow it to be swept under the rug, proverbially. I believe that as a society, we understand the direction the PPP is heading in. We understand where they stand, where these issues are concerned. We understand that they're more interested in protecting their own and protecting justice, protecting the innocent in our society. We understand that. So it's basically us recognizing that and realizing that it will take an election to get rid of them. And I'm hoping that people are being prepared for the next election, because that is the one way that we can ensure that they never get back into office.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, I'm happy that you said that, because my final question was, and I allow you to expand on it, in this whole period of madness in our country. Look, just yesterday, again, to have to refer to Starbuck News, its editorial talked about so many missteps with this administration, the PPP, the undermining of institutions. That was the name of the editorial yesterday, the undermining. People want to control everything, undermining of institutions. And then on the following day, you have the notes on Darmal case. I mean, these are the issues grappling this country, grappling the society we live in. What do you say to Guyanese? What should be the posture of Guyanese? You said one of the first things we can do is vote them out of office. What else as we get towards the next perhaps general and regional election? What can we do as Guyanese?
Well, there are a couple of things. One is, I would like to urge Guyanese not to take these things for granted, not to allow the PPP to use some amount of dollars or some amount of infrastructure to make you feel as if everything is fine, that everything is good, that we have to keep at the back of our minds always all of the atrocities that we as a society has had to face since they came into office in August of 2020. It has been from one tragedy to the other. It has been from one negative to the other. At every level of our society, all Guyanese have faced some amount of atrocity by the PPP over the last 3 years. And so what we need to first do is recognize who the PPP is as an organization, because you might say, oh, Ali is nice because he comes and he plays some dominoes, or oh, some particular other member of parliament or minister is a good person as an individual, but that is not who we are fighting against. We're fighting against an organization and a system that has shown us that they're corrupt, has shown us that they're interested in themselves and their friends and family, and shown us that they're not interested in the rule of law, not interested in upholding the rule of law, and not interested in ensuring that everybody has equal access to the resources of this nation. That is what the organization has shown. And so once we take that into consideration, the only thing left to do is to come together as a society and let them understand that we do not want this particular organization governing us. And we want something different for our society and our future.
MP Tabitha Saraba Haley, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with us this morning, and again, bringing clarity to these many issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Sharon. Have a good day.
Same to you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us at this end. Thanks for being part of this program this morning. Thanks for being part of this discussion with us here on this side. I gotta run off to a very important meeting. You all know why I'm here. Folks, I'm in the Turks and Caicos Providenciales of Islands for the 45th Caribbean. It's a long title. The Caribbean Atlantic, the Caribbean and the Caribbean Americas and Atlantic region, Caribbean Americas and Atlantic region of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Conference. That is what has brought me to this beautiful island of the Turks and Caicos, folks. And tremendous privilege to be here during the course of the week. I'm going to be showing you little glimpses of what it looks like here in the Turks and Caicos. So we're on the road, folks. We outside. We outside. Thanks for joining the broadcast this morning. Each and every one of you, folks. Thank you so much. Until our next broadcast, stay safe, guys. Stay safe.